Hey, Dr. Aaron here at Focus TV Network in West Hollywood, and I'm thrilled for our guest today, who is Rabbi Mark. Hi, good welcome.
Hi, thank you. Thank you for having me.
I'm so happy you're here in the living room of Focus TV with your top hat, which is so fun.
Thank you.
We have a little bit of fall in the air, right? Just a little bit of crispness coming through Los Angeles, which is a big switch from 2 weeks ago. So.
Right. You go from 100 degrees to 50 degrees.
Right.
It's LA.
I know. So I'm excited to hear about your adventure. You've got this incredible dynamic biography. And I mean, you're a rabbi, you're an ex-con. I'm like, I love this. I love the realness of this, because I think so many leaders in today's world are not real. And I want to hear about your story. Tell me a little bit about what you're up to.
Well, what I'm up to now is I've been working for Beit Shuvah. It's a Jewish residential, faith-based, non-sectarian recovery center with an intensive outpatient program as well. So we integrate Judaism, 12 steps, and psychotherapy.
Wow, incredible.
And it was conceived by my wife before she was my wife, before I even knew her, Harriet Rosetto. She's the founder of it. And together for the last 29 years, we've been going from a small house on Lake Street, we call it Barrio Adjacent, basically Beverly and Alvarado, to a 60,000 plus square foot facility near Culver City, west side of LA, near Culver City. We serve 140 people all the time.
Wonderful.
Plus we have transitional.
140 people.
Yeah.
They're not there full time. They come in. Wow, that's incredible.
And we have two transitional housings for another 30, 35 people. So
I love that.
We care for about 175 people. We're a Jewish organization, and we're a faith-based organization. So for us, we have never turned anyone away because they don't have money.
I love that. I love that.
And we're a long-term treatment center. People stay with us about 9 months or so. They go through a couple transitions. The lie, you want to live the truth.
Yeah, I'm trying to live it, but I don't know. It doesn't always happen.
Right. So the truth is that in 30 days or 28 days, nobody's going to get fixed. If you have to go to rehab, then at the end of 30 days, you're just coming out of the fog.
Right. You've like barely even bloomed into a little bud.
Right. And so it takes time to return. Tshuva means to return. It means repentance, return, and response is the translations of it from the Hebrew. And what it really means is repair, change, and hope. And that's what we do. We give people the opportunity and a path to repair the damage that they've done to themselves and to others. We
You got a lot going on. You have so much to give. I'm so honored that you're here. It's really beautiful.
It's my honor. Thank you. And we work hard to help people change.
Yeah. The intention really here is to have people know that you're even, I'm sure most people know that you're here, but to have people find you, of course. I love your personal story, and I think that people come to a center like yours because a synagogue, because they want to connect with community, but I bet probably primarily because they've heard your story or they haven't. And I want to showcase and hear a little bit more of your personal journey.
Well, my journey is I grew up a nice Jewish boy in Cleveland, Ohio, and I was always half a step off.
I was like 10 steps off, but yeah, half steps.
My inner life was very chaotic. And I think one of the reasons is that everybody's inner life is chaotic, especially growing up, but nobody talks about it.
True.
And then my father had his first heart attack when I was 7, and a heart attack that killed him when I was 14.
Wow, tough age.
Yeah, and he was my best friend. I mean, he got me. So I made a decision that, I asked myself the wrong question. I had the right answer to the wrong question. I asked, how do I get out of this psychic pain? And the best way was booze and money.
Yeah.
So I started stealing and hustling with the local mafia in Cleveland and drinking. And that led to a 20-year run.
Wow. Incredible.
I had to move from Cleveland to Los Angeles because I couldn't get a legitimate job in Cleveland and I was getting sloppy. So I came out to LA and thought everything would change. The only problem was I brought me with me.
It happens.
So
Everywhere we go, there we are. Yep.
right. So I got arrested the first time in LA for drunk driving, and I got an attorney, and I said, how much does it cost to pay the judge off to get it busted down? And he said, you can't pay off a judge in Los Angeles. And I said, what's the matter? Isn't this America? And he looked at me, he started laughing. And then I just started getting arrested. I was hustling, I was stealing, I was selling hot merchandise, I was doing check fraud and kiting of checks, and I was working legitimate jobs.
Yeah.
I was working at car lots and selling used cars. Some people would say I was a thief then too, but at least it was on the payroll. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I started to go to jail. Even my daughter being born in 1980 couldn't keep me out of jail. I loved my daughter then, and I love my daughter now.
Such an epic journey. We do have to take a break, but when we come back, what I want to do is I want to hear about what was the turning point? What was that moment in that journey that you said, enough is enough, and I'm now going to make and be the change I want to see in the world. Okay, so stay tuned, you guys, as we come back, hearing Rabbi Mark's incredible journey to becoming an incredible leader here in the Los Angeles area. We want to hear about what was that moment for him when he turned to grace. Stay tuned. Dr. Aaron here, Doctor of Divinity, teaching universal laws and spiritual truth, and I am thrilled to announce the new show on Focus Television right here in West Hollywood, Los Angeles, California. Join us weekly as I interview incredible people, celebrities to your next door neighbor, you name it, your girlfriend. We're going to dive into such topics as love and relationships, health and vitality, business and money, and creative expression. And I'm thrilled to just go on this awakening journey with you as we tap into meditation, visioning processes, intuition, and all the above. So stay tuned as we do this together. Hi there, I hope that you're enjoying this great conversation. I'm here at Focus TV Network in West Hollywood, America's first streaming video talk network. And I want to hear your story. We would like to showcase your story about consciousness, awakening, and spirituality. So you can reach out to me at below. You'll see right here my email and all of our contact information. We want you. Now back to the show. Hey guys, we're back here with Rabbi Mark talking about and hearing his incredible story of addiction to recovery. And so what was the moment? What was the moment when you said enough is enough?
In December of 1986, I was arrested. I was walking across the street. I owed about $50,000 out in bad checks. I was on my way to Las Vegas to bet a football parlay. I was a good handicapper in those days. And I was going to bet a 10-team parlay, would have paid $350 to 1, and I had a couple $1,000s on me. As I'm walking across the street in the San Fernando Valley, a white Ford Fairmount turns the corner, stops, guy calls out my name. I look up. It was Detective Jim Bashira. He had arrested me in January of 1981, so almost 6 years. Had seen a wanted poster on me from Santa Barbara County in November a month before, and it all clicked. I went to the Van Nuys police station. He booked me. I called my first wife and I said, come pick up this money. She said, what bail bondsman do you want me to call? I said, don't call anyone. The man upstairs is trying to tell me something, and I have to sit here until I figure it out. As I tell you this story right now, some 31 years later, everything, my whole body is ablaze because I still don't know where those words came from. It was an ecstatic moment. In the program of Alcoholics Anonymous, they say a moment of clarity or a spiritual awakening, and that's what happened to me. This time, however, I knew I was going to prison again, and I called my brother, who's been a rabbi forever, and I said, send me a Torah and a prayer book. Because I had studied, I'd gone to services when I was a kid. And my brother sent me a Torah, and I started to read it, the Bible. And I started to pray again. And one of the earliest stories, the earliest story in the Bible is, it says, when the earth, in the beginning of the earth being created, there was chaos and emptiness. And I started to cry, and I said, why didn't I ever see this? Because that's me.
I have chills, right? That moment. And I know and I recognize out there right now, whoever's watching right now can relate at so many levels if you've hit that bottom at some level. And I truly believe, just like you, that there's addicts out there, there's people that are struggling, or maybe it's someone watching that has a family member that's dealing with it. That I believe it's a big calling. Like if you make it to the other side as an addict, some of the greatest leaders come out of it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you. And then I read the Garden of Eden story. And what a lot of people miss in that Garden of Eden story is that it says God called to the humans, Ayeka, where are you? And they were hiding. And I wept. I wept because I realized how long and how often I hid. And from all of the people that I hid. And the rest is history. I started to study, I started to learn, I started to grow spiritually, emotionally, and I've been on this journey ever since.
So beautiful. So what would you say? Someone's watching right now, and most likely, maybe it could be an addict, maybe it's more likely to be somebody who has a parent, a child, a sibling that is dealing with addiction. What advice would you give them?
Well, the first advice I would say is don't make it them. My wife Harriet says, you're either in recovery or in denial.
Amen to that. Right?
So when you think about living the truth, that means you can't hide from yourself. So the beauty is once somebody faces themselves, there's always a way to rise above and to repair old damages and to rise above all of the things that we think stop us from growing and living well. That truth truly sets us free, because it doesn't mean that I'm going to be the richest guy in the world, which I always wanted to be. It doesn't mean I'm going to be the most famous guy in the world, which there was a time when I wanted to be. What it means is that I'm going to be able to live my life authentically and transparently. And in doing that, every day is joyous.
Definitely, I hear you. That's the whole point, right?
Right. It doesn't mean I'm happy all the time. It just means my address is joy. That I get to have experiences with other people, experiences of connection, experiences of being real, experiences of love. That it's so powerful now that when somebody tells me what I did wrong, I thank them. Even if they are looking to put me down and beat me up.
That's why I love people that are in program, because like this exact thing, I'm like, here it's like the best. This
right,
is the best.
because they say I can be better. Now, I have to then look and say, is what they're saying real? Or is it just their own insanity. However, it always gives me the opportunity to grow. And since none of us are going to be perfect, we have to grow every day.
For sure. Absolutely.
In fact, Judaism says that you should do tshuva, you should do this inventory of what I do well and what I didn't do well. One day before you die, and since none of us know the day of our death, do it every day. Think of how different the world is if all of us take a look and we just say, what did I do well today? What did I not do well today? And then we keep moving it forward.
I completely agree. So what I want to do now, we're going to take one more break, but I want to find out, I want you to talk a little bit, I want to teach, if you will, for a minute, some principles, some takeaways that people can take from your new book that's just coming out, just came out, Finding Recovery in Yourself and Torah, A Daily Spiritual Path to Wholeness. Is that correct?
Yes.
And so when we come back, I want you to give them some kind of takeaways they can take away today for themselves, okay?
You got it.
So stay tuned for some hacks and tips for to have hope for all of us, right? Stay tuned, you guys. Okay, we're back here with Rabbi Mark. We're talking about his book, which is Finding Recovery in Yourself in the Torah. And what I want is to give some big tips. So get out your pen and paper and let's talk about a few takeaways for people. What can they, the lesson of the day?
Well, so one of the things is that all spiritual texts are the answer. Every spiritual text, the Bible, the Tibetan Book of the Living and Dead, the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous, and the New Testament. All of them are the answers. The problem for most of us is we have the wrong questions. So one of the things is, what's the question that this experience is the answer for? Instead of looking at every experience as the problem, it's the answer. I have to figure out the right question. So in my book, I take the first 5 books of the Bible, Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. And I have, in Hebrew, they're broken up into parshiot, they're called portions. And I take every portion and I split it into 7 days. I take a verse and then I give my interpretation of it. And then I ask questions. So this week we're talking about the death of Sarah, when Sarah died. So Abraham wails and then he does a eulogy. But before he does that, he has to find a place to bury his wife. And in ancient times, you weren't considered a citizen unless you owned land. So he wanted to buy a place. Somebody says, no, I'll give it to you. Abraham says, no, I have to pay for it because I want it so that nobody can take it away from me. So for me, it teaches a couple of things. Where is my place? So when you think about it, right, you do this TV show. You do your counseling, you do your teaching, your coaching. That is the place that you have found for yourself. Were you to go and be a model, which you're absolutely
Yes.
capable of, or anything else.
Just want to be my home.
Right. So the first question I ask is, am I home? And if not, where is home? And then how do I keep the memory? Okay, a eulogy is not to extol, and make everybody wonderful. A eulogy is, what are the lessons? What was the impact of this person's life on me? And if somebody's impacted me, then I also have to take their lessons, their way of living, and incorporate it into my own.
It's so beautiful, right? Because then you can take that story and begin to, I love that you have this interpretation of being able to take the Torah and be able to read it like this, but then take all of life like that, right?
All of it
it's
is.
all an expression, a projection of what's going on within, so it's so beautiful.
Well, it's more than a projection, I think, Erin. It's more an expression. And if we have the wrong questions, we're going to screw it up. All of us have within us this spark, this divine image. All of us have within us a spirit, higher consciousness, however you want to put it.
Yeah.
For me, God and spirit are cool.
Yeah.
I have to keep tapping into that, where my spirit now has veto power over my emotions and my intellect. Because I can rationalize anything. And I can't live in a world where I promote fakeness.
So finding your home, and you have found that.
I
Clearly,
have
you have
found
made that for sure in Culver City. Such
Yes.
a beautiful home.
Yeah, I'm blessed.
Yeah.
I'm blessed.
So where can people find you? Where can they find your book? Where can they find your website? Where
They can find my book at Amazon.com. They can find Beit Teshuva at www.beitteshuvah, BEITTSHUVAH.org. And they can find me at Rabbi Mark at rabbimark.com. And they can email me. I'm available. Whatever I can do to help another individual, that's my blessing. And it's my job.
And you take in the 12-step and the Torah, and you said one other thing.
And psychotherapy.
Okay,
We have
great.
an integrative model. Our treatment modality is everyone has a therapist, an addiction counselor, and a spiritual counselor.
Wonderful. What a wonderful work you do. And you know, I love also that you see it all as divine work, other, you know, practices and things. I think it's really wonderful. It's so beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, it's all divine.
It's all divine. That's right. I like you. You're speaking my language.
There you go.
So I just want to say thank you so much for all of your
Thank you.
time. Thank you for all your divine work. Thank you for sharing your story and being real and being raw and being a leader who has a real story. We need more of that in this world. So
Thank you.
You guys have a wonderful day. Please check them out, look them up. I think it's a really good resource if you or someone you know is dealing with addiction. We all need recovery. That's the truth.
Absolutely. So thank
yeah.
you. Thank you so much for having me. What a joy.
Thank you, you guys. Have a wonderful day, and may you live your truth.